Today, we are going to talk about one of the most powerful concepts in finance and investment. And also, it is the mechanism foundation behind long term wealth building. That is compound interest. What does compound interest really mean? Compound interest is interest calculated on both principal and then the accumulated interest. It allows money to grow exponentially over time. Without not wasting much time, we use a practical examples to explain how compound interest behaves in our daily life. Let's assume you are making an investment of 10,000 at the rate of 10% for 3 years. First year, at the end of the first year, you make 11,000 Ghana cedis, meaning you've gained interest of, or you've earned an interest of 1,000 Ghana cedis. So from there, that is where compound interest begin to set in. So your second year, you are going to start with what? The 11,000. Now it's not the 10,000. Remember earlier on we are saying that compound interest is calculated on your principal and then the accumulated what? Interest. So your second year, your new investment amount becomes 11,000. The principal the principal plus the accumulated interest gives you what? A new investment amount. So at the end of the second year, you realize that your money has increased from the 11,000 that you earned for the previous year to 12,100 Ghana cedis. And here, what happens? What happens is that you've gained an extra what? 1,100 Ghana cedis. You've gained additional what? 1,100 Ghana cedis. So the total interest that you've earned over a year from the first to the second year is 2,100 Ghana cedis. But for only the second year, you've gained 1,100 Ghana cedis. Remember, the second year you started with what? The amount that you earned for the previous year. That is what? The 11,000. And then that 11,000, there has been what? Interest on interest. That has increased your money from the 11,000 to 12,100 Ghana cedis. And also, you started with 10,000, meaning that your interest has increased from interest to interest. That's why you say compound interest is what? Interest on interest. It's one of the powerful financial concepts. It calculates on what? Interest on interest. So at the end of your first and second year, which you started with the initial investment of 10,000, now you've gained what? Solid 2,100 Ghana cedis. And that 2,100 Ghana cedis gives you what? A total investment amount of 12,100 Ghana cedis, which you take toward the second year, the third year, which you take towards the third year. Now the third year also gives you what? At the end of the third year, you make what? 13,310 Ghana cedis. 13,310 Ghana cedis. You see how it works? That is the power of what? Compound interest. So at the end of your investment, remember you started your investment with what? 10,000 Ghana cedis. And now you've made what? 3,310 Ghana cedis. That's how we say what? Leaving your money sitting idle in savings account is rather killing your investment. Savings account is not for investment. I can equally say savings account, you put it there for a case of emergency or in case of something that you want to leave your money into your savings account or whatever. But if you want to grow wealth, you look at what? Financial instrument that what? Has a compound interest principle, compound interest concept that you can use to grow your wealth or to grow your money. Financial instruments such as, like, let's say we have mutual fund. We have mutual fund that you can invest in. When you invest in mutual fund, like let me take an example, like IC liquidity fund. IC liquidity fund based on compound interest principle, or let's say Stanbic investment. They also place on what compound interest, or data bank also are for investment that what apply the compound interest principle. You can equally do that. Compound interest is what most of pension companies, the pension companies or whatever, or senate and stuff, they all invest in what this financial instrument that operate on compound interest concept. It's a wealth creation system. With a practical example of you doing a long-term investment, assuming you are doing a long-term investment. If I tell you that when you invest from now to 20 years, you can make an amount of what 4,990,000 Ghana cedis, will you believe? You will believe, because compound interest concept work. Compound interest concept work. Remember, compound interest is one of the most powerful is one of the most powerful concepts in finance and investment. So I always tell people that when you are doing investment, you look at on other side and ask yourself, where can I invest that compound interest works? So let me take you through. We have mutual funds. Compound interest works on mutual fund. As I said earlier on, I see liquidity wealth. When you invest on a daily basis, you realize that your money accumulates. You get pesos on it, and that peso also gets another peso on it. That is the power of compound interest. When you invest in stock, someone will ask, stock, how does compound interest work in stock? That is a question. How does compound interest work in stock? Remember, we have what dividend paying stock that allow investors to what receive dividends and then reinvest them or buy more. When you receive dividends and then you reinvest, it's a compound interest principle. You see, your capital grows. You've received a dividend and then you reinvest them. Compound interest like treasury bill. Compound interest also what works in what treasury bill reinvestment. That's why I've brought the real investment over here. Reinvestment simply means that you are making an investment with rollover. Just like you've invest in T-bill, the 92 days T-bill, and then you say what, when your money comes, it should roll over with your interest together with what your principal. Compound interest what works on it. And also retirement account. We have retirement account, this pension scheme companies and stuff. All the retirement money that they gather at the end of the day when you go on retirement, they give to you. All of them, they invest most of them in what, an instrument that works with what, compound interest. Compound interest, you can grow with, you can use it for your retirement plan. Yes, without a compound interest, remember that inflation also takes place, so you have to what, always try to beat inflation. That's why the power of compound interest helps you in your investment. You see, there are three rules of compound interest growth that everybody needs to understand. One, you need to start early. Why do I say start early? Because time beats. When you have time by your side, you can beat everything. Assuming someone is at the age of 25 years and someone is at the age of 30 years, starting an investment of a monthly contribution of 500 Ghana cedis. At the end of the next 20 years, the person at the age of the person at the age of 20 years or 25 years beats the person at the age of 35 years, because that person who is at the age of 25 years have more time. You get it? And one thing is reinvest earnings. When you earn, you need to what? Reinvest. Don't always be in rush to what? Cash out the earnings that you earn on your investment. When you invest and then you earn interest on it, try to reinvest it. Don't cash out. That is where you see the power of what? Compound interest. The last one is what? Invest consistency. Consistency means you've created an account that you are going to invest monthly basis or yearly basis. Every month, the amount you are supposed to put it in, you need to put it in. That is where you see the effect of what? Compound interest on your money. You know, with every investment, there is rule that determines the number of year that will help you to double your money. That's why we have what? Rule 72. What does Rule 72 says? Example, you are investing at a rate of, let's say, 12%. At a rate of 12%. To determine how many years it will take you to double your money, we say what? You divide the 72 by the rate. That will tell you what? The amount, the number of years that your investment will double. If you have 10,000, the number of years that your investment is going to double, giving you 20,000. So let's assume you are investing at a rate of 12%, and then Rule 72 says that divide the 72 by the 12. It gives you what? 6 years. So you have 6 years what? To double up your money. That's why we say that start early to get more financial advantage. Compound interest is the foundation of what? Wealth building. Starting early, stay consistent, and allow time to grow your investment. That is the best way you can invest. Don't be in rush. Take your time, invest, be on a consistent zone, and allow your investment to grow for you. Thank you, guys.